Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. A battle between religious freedom and Obamacare plays out at the Supreme Court today. The case involves whether Hobby Lobby and other businesses can say they won't pay for some birth control drugs for religious reasons because they believe those drugs induce abortions. Mark Martin has that story.
Hobby Lobby, the Oklahoma-based arts and crafts chain, is owned by devout Christians, the Green family. They say Obamacare's mandate requiring they provide insurance coverage for all forms of birth control violates their religious rights.
We believe that Americans don't lose their religious freedom when they open a family business.
Hobby Lobby has more than 500 stores with more than 15,000 employees. The company does cover 16 types of contraception. But many people, including Hobby Lobby's owners, consider other types to be abortion-inducing drugs, like versions of the morning after pills and IUDs.
These abortion-causing drugs go against our faith, and our family is now being forced to choose between following the laws of the land that we love or maintaining the religious beliefs that have made our business successful and have supported our family and thousands of our employees and their families. We simply cannot abandon our religious beliefs to comply with this mandate.
The Obama administration and supporters of the Affordable Care Act say a woman should be able to choose the type of contraception she uses, not her employer.
Millions of women and their right to preventive care, including birth control, is trumped by a handful of CEOs who have their own personal opinions about birth control.
And politicians on both sides have been making their positions clear.
Well, in that case, I think the statute itself, as interpreted by the president, violates the First Amendment of the Constitution.
The owner has a right to his or her religious beliefs, but that doesn't mean you get to discriminate against women if women have different beliefs than what the owner has, and the woman wants to exercise her rights under the Constitution.
Some involved in the case say the Supreme Court case strikes right to the heart of American life.
I think, though, just as important as our giving is our hearts, and that we do have clean hands and a pure heart in our work, and this is what God would require of us.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
The terrorist group that's conquered large areas of Iraq and Syria declared their territory an Islamic State today, and they're demanding the support of all Muslims everywhere. The al-Qaeda Sunni breakaway renamed itself the Islamic State. They called on the world's Muslims to pledge obedience to their leader, or Caliph Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. That could set off infighting between ISIS fighters and less militant Sunnis who joined them to take down the Iraqi government. In the meantime, Iraq's military is stepping up its defense against ISIS with the help of the United States.
Clearly, I see ISIS as a direct threat to the United States. They have the capacity, and I believe they have the intent. They have stated it in terms of their opposition to the whole Western world. They are the richest, most powerful, and most savage group of terrorists in the history of mankind.
ISIS controls large parts of Syria and Iraq. Already there are reports of fighting between Muslim factions for control of border crossings between those two countries. Thousands of Christians returned to their homes in northern Iraq Sunday. Last week, they fled to the Kurdish city of Erbil after ISIS militants unleashed an artillery barrage on their village. The patriarch of the Syriac Catholic Church in Erbil urged them to, quote, go back, be strong, and stick to their land. Many Christians are choosing to stay in Iraqi Kurdistan, where they found protection and help from American Christians. Gary Lane has the story now from northern Nineveh, Iraq.
When CBN News learned that many fleeing Christians found refuge in the northern Nineveh town of Al-Kosh, we traveled to the ancient Christian community to meet them. Al-Kosh is mentioned in the Bible. The Old Testament prophet Nahum was from here. It's exclusively Christian. No Muslims are allowed to live in Al-Kosh. Radi Yusuf and his son greeted us as we entered the city. They'd arrived just 2 hours earlier from Karakosh near Mosul.
I didn't see ISIS or anyone, but they shelled around us before we left. We're staying with relatives.
We met his wife Hannah at their relative's house. She said, we were sleeping around noontime when mortars started falling all around us. We were afraid, so we prayed, and then we left. My son was not able to eat or drink. He was traumatized. As ISIS advanced on the predominantly Christian town of Karakosh, these children here and their families fled the area. They're now living in this school temporarily in the city of Erbil. Many left their homes with only the clothes they were wearing. We asked what they needed, and CBN Disaster Relief responded. With temperatures exceeding 111 degrees Fahrenheit outside, the school interior was sweltering. Many wanted to take showers to cool off, but they lacked bathing accessories. Honoring their request, we provided nearly 100 families with soap and towels, and also powdered milk for their children. The women expressed gratitude to Americans who supported CBN's effort to help ease their misery.
Thank you very much.
The previous night, CBN did the same for Christian refugees residing in a school in El-Kosh. We drove to a distant marketplace to purchase the quantity of mattresses and pillows needed. It's a bit of a wait right now because we've asked for 75 of these mattresses, right? 75? Yeah. And so they have to prepare each one. And really, that's all we can carry on this truck right now. So I think that'll be enough to help everybody, don't you? It was mid-evening by the time we returned to El-Kosh. The refugees waited patiently as we unloaded the truck. These men received pillows for their families, and their wives powdered milk for the children. CBN also provided a refrigerator and a freezer to cool and freeze food items. This diabetic man was relieved because he had no refrigeration for his insulin and feared he would suffer a heart attack and die.
I want to tell the Americans thank you so much.
At least 300 refugees from Karakosh arrived this past weekend. They've discovered that ISIS fighters were unable to spread their terror and impose Islamic law on the city because Kurdish army fighters, the Peshmerga, chased them away. With Karakosh now secured, many of these Christians hope to return home. But others, like these Christian children from Mosul, are unlikely to go back as long as ISIS controls their city. But at least for now, at the end of the day, they'll fall asleep on mattresses instead of the floor and rest their war-weary heads in comfort. Gary Lane, CBN News, El-Kosh, Iraq.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is urging the countries negotiating with Iran about their nuclear program not to surrender. Netanyahu says Iran should get the same deal as Syria, which forced them to dismantle their entire chemical weapons program. He says the current deal being offered to Iran puts the world at risk.
Iran at any time could kick the inspectors aside or deceive them. It's done that in the past. And go rush to make the enriched uranium that is necessary to make atomic bombs, and they can do that within weeks or months. That's bad for Britain, bad for Europe, bad for the United States, bad for Russia, bad for China, very bad for Israel, bad for the Arabs too, bad for the world.
The negotiations between the six world powers and Iran are going into their final stages. Talks resume on Wednesday with the aim of reaching a permanent agreement over Iran's nuclear program by July 20th. Gunmen attacked 4 Christian churches in northern Nigeria Sunday, killing at least 30 people. Eyewitnesses say the attackers opened fire on worshipers, then set fire to the churches and people's homes in the village of Kwata. Authorities suspect the radical Islamic Boko Haram terrorist group carried out the attack on Kwata and 2 other villages in Borno State. The villages are near Chibok, in a mainly Christian area that has been under attack by the terrorist group in recent months. Boko Haram kidnapped hundreds of schoolgirls from Chibok back in April. President Obama is asking Congress for more than $2 billion to address what he calls an urgent humanitarian situation on the border. Right now, hundreds of unaccompanied children from Central America are crossing the southern border every day. That amounts to thousands sleeping on floors of overcrowded detention centers. President Obama wants to build more facilities to properly house the children and hire more immigration judges. He also wants to change the law to speed up their deportation.
The problem is that under current law, once those kids come across the border, there's a system in which we're supposed to process them, take care of them until we can send them back.
Today's request to Congress also includes money to temporarily house mothers who bring children across the border illegally. The president is nominating former Procter & Gamble executive Robert McDonald to lead the Veterans Affairs Office. If the Senate agrees, McDonald would succeed Eric Shinseki, who resigned last month as the reports of scandal, delays, and cover-up surfaced at VA clinics across the country. A West Point graduate, McDonald also served as a captain in the Army. The 61-year-old headed Procter & Gamble for 33 years, running operations around the world for more than 5 billion customers. The District of Columbia is considering a ban on therapy that supporters say can turn a child from homosexual to heterosexual. Some opponents call it torture therapy, claiming it traumatizes and abuses children. But as Paul Strand reports, a group of ex-gays warn legislators are ignoring evidence that proves such therapy can work wonders.
A group of ex-gays and their supporters came out angry from a D.C. City Council hearing about banning the kind of therapy they say helped free them from same-sex attractions. Gay activists and their allies labeled it useless, even harmful.
It's a psychological abuse, essentially.
They insisted government should protect children from such therapy. But ex-gay Christopher Doyle said in all of D.C.'s history,
there has never been an ethical complaint or grievance filed from anyone being coerced or forced to go and get this therapy against their will. This bill says that children, teenagers under 18, are being forced to change their sexual orientation. That's absolutely false, not true.
As to charges, such therapy doesn't work.
We heard claims that sexual orientation change efforts are ineffective. And yet we heard testimonies, multiple testimonies from people that in fact a change is possible.
But what ex-gay Greg Quinlan said he encountered in the room was scoffing and hatred.
I've suffered a lot of hate, a lot of venom. I've even been physically assaulted. But today was a prime example of the bigotry and the hate that every ex-gay suffers.
Ironically, it was the practice of homosexuality that just a few short years ago was illegal all over the country. Now the politically correct thing seems to be to treat ex-homosexuals as pariahs. In fact, as the new unicorns, creatures that couldn't even possibly exist.
Indeed, those here say Councilmember Yvette Alexander told the hearing she can't believe there are ex-gays, though all these ex-gays were right there in the room in front of her and testifying. And they say they were verbally attacked and berated by gay Councilmember David Catania in what Quinlan called a rant.
About how anyone who disagrees with this bill about banning the therapy that children need, that parents should have the right to be a part of, were mentally ill. He said we were mentally ill, homophobic, and hate-filled.
If the bill passes, ex-gay Charles Peters warns it will cut children off from the kind of therapy he believes saved his sanity and life after he was sexually abused by a scoutmaster.
The blood of children who kill themselves because of unwanted same-sex attraction issues will be on the hands of this council if they vote to approve this bill. Sexual orientation change therapy has saved my life.
This is being propagated by gay activists who have a political agenda, who say that we must have one opinion on counseling in the District of Columbia, that if you are gay, you must accept it. If you have unwanted same-sex attractions, you must accept it. You have no choice.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, some states want to make cash by legalizing pot, while opponents say it could send an entire generation up in smoke.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh, yes. And that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new white paper entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new Don't Bank on It white paper now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
1 in 10 working-age Americans die from causes related to drinking too much alcohol. According to a new report from the Centers for Disease Control, some of the causes include heavy drinking and binge drinking, as well as alcohol poisoning, violence related to drinking, car accidents, and longer-term health problems like liver disease or heart disease. The study says lives were cut short, on average, by about 30 years. At least 15 states are thinking about legalizing marijuana. They hope the sales from pot will bring in more tax money. But as Heather Sells reports, there are also new concerns about the long-term costs.
Colorado merchants began selling marijuana for recreational use on January 1st. And already the variety of new merchandise is mind-blowing.
There's a lot of products.
From plant varieties, each with its own smell and unique characteristics, to trendy vaporizers, drinks, and don't forget the food. Swedish fish, sweet and sours, and so-called oatmeal sandwiches, just to name a few. In many ways, Colorado is still in the honeymoon phase of marijuana legalization. People here are caught up in the excitement of new products and new growth. And the governor is looking forward to more than $90 million in new tax revenue this year, all from marijuana. But many health and youth advocates say not so fast. After working in tobacco education for years, Bob Doyle now speaks out against marijuana.
We know what's coming, and this is really, if we don't stop it, this is the birth of the next tobacco industry. It's going to be like every other drug, where the societal costs are much bigger than what any community is going to make on this.
Costs like treating marijuana addiction. Specialists say they're inundated with requests, and student use is quickly rising thanks to the legalization of medical marijuana. Twice as many Denver 8th graders use pot than other 8th graders across the country, and almost 1/3 of Denver high school seniors consume the drug.
Legalizing it creates more promotion, creates greater access to the drug, and also legitimizes the drug.
One of the products Doyle is most concerned about, this sleek-looking vaporizer.
Rolling Stone magazine called them the iPod of getting baked.
It's also a concealer, in many cases looking just like an e-cigarette. Youth advocates say marijuana edibles pose another danger, attracting young people by marketing a wholesome, healthy image. Joe McGuire works at a Colorado Springs drug testing company and finds many kids are simply not concerned about pot.
They say, it's good for us, it's a medicine, it's healthy.
Parents, she says, often contribute to this false sense of security, not realizing that today's marijuana is much more potent than the drug of their day.
One time we heard a dad say, well, I mean, they're just gonna like sleep all the time and have munchies, like what's the big deal? Well, we're seeing withdrawal signs of anger and rage and real withdrawal when they can't have their product.
I think the schools are very concerned about students, coming to school under the influence.
Chris Harms of the State School Safety Resource Center hopes parents will teach their children about the dangers of pot. She also has a message for other states that envy Colorado's seeming financial windfall.
People may see the tax money that's being generated, but not thinking about all the other hidden costs of marijuana. I mean, we don't know, for instance, how many more substance abuse treatment facilities we're going to need.
Legalization supporters say they also believe in educating kids about the dangers of marijuana. But they argue that legalization is the best way to limit their access. CBN News interviewed Mason Tvert last year before he became a national spokesman for the Marijuana Policy Project.
We know that alcohol prohibition failed and caused more problems than it solved. So we're in the similar situation with marijuana, where we need to do everything we can to keep marijuana away from young people, and that includes regulating it and controlling it and taxing it.
It will be years before the smoke clears and we understand the full effect of legalization. Financial experts say taxes will fluctuate as other states join Colorado and the marketplace experiments with pricing, products, and developing efficiencies. On the downside, questions remain on how much addiction rates will grow, what it will mean for education, and creating a competitive workforce. In the meantime, McGuire is beefing up her staff after a recent spike in positive tests. And Doyle will continue to educate in the hopes of preventing the downward spirals he's already seen.
I can't tell you how many times I've had, the mother or father who come up to me and say, I had the good student, the good athlete, and they've been smoking marijuana and it's no longer. Their motivation is gone, their academics have gone down, their athletics have gone away, and it's horrifying.
Reporting in Denver, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, the future is here. From robots in the garden to robots in the classroom, how humans are harnessing the power of robots.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Robots are increasingly being used both at home and in the workforce to help humans. Their resume, they make few mistakes, never get tired, and have recently become much more interactive. Caitlin Burke reports.
An Alabama plant nursery is getting attention for its new army of engineered workers.
We've had a lot of people say from the highway they could see little aliens running around on flowerwood.
They're actually robots, carrying plants up and down the rows of the nursery.
As it goes across the front of the pots, he's seeing each one of them. Once he comes to an empty hole, that's where he drops the plant.
The robots haven't replaced human workers at the nursery. Ollinger says instead they're able to do the mindless work, spacing plants in the summer and bunching them in the winter.
We've taught them more and more skills, and we've moved them to where they're needed.
And that frees up humans to work on better jobs. The robots are still worth the $30,000 spent on them. They work in less than desirable conditions, can do double shifts, and don't require any breaks.
You can drive right out of here at lunchtime. Everybody's gone, and the robots are still running.
Robot technology is being used in the classroom as well. This robot carries an iPad, allowing a master teacher to interact with students remotely. 10-year-old Simon is working on his reading and comprehension skills this summer. The robot allows teacher Jody Giles to monitor his progress.
He'll tell us, help me out, and he will guide me and interact with me, and it's no different than when working with him in person.
Giles says that thanks to the new technology, she's able to interact with 10 to 12 students per day for about 20 to 30 minutes each, no matter where they're located.
We're reducing cost in travel and in time. So it's been a beneficial investment, not just in terms of financially, but also in terms of the time.
Despite all the benefits, there are still a few things that need to be worked out.
I like to help it because sometimes it mostly crashes on the wall.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Hi, I'm George Foreman. People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can provide patent referrals and submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-461-9290. That's 1-800-461-9290.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
And finally today, Operation Blessing is fighting against human trafficking at the World Cup. Operation Blessing teams are at work in Brazil showing an original documentary called One Real, The Other Side of the Coin. The goal is to help protect vulnerable children from becoming victims of sex trafficking. Teams are conducting anti-trafficking efforts like flash mobs in red light districts, distributing food and hope bags to girls on the streets, as well as distributing flyers with information on where victims can seek help. You can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website, ob.org. And that is going to do it now for CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a marvelous Monday, everybody.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.